Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Art in 196, Introduction to Designing Web Graphics. This is for the fall semester 2021, and today we're going to start working on Lesson 7, which involves optimizing your website for various sizes of media. Okay, namely smartphones, and then adjust it for tablets as well as being able to make it look really nice on a large screen. So it's the last step that we take before we actually start learning how to add various kinds of content. But so far, this is all the heavy lifting that you need to do to build your basic template for your website. And then the remainder is adding some additional styles for various kinds of content like tables, unordered lists, and so on and so forth, so that in the future, if you should decide to add different types of media, you'll already have everything set in place, and all you have to do is copy paste. And if you want to change the styles, make some minor adjustments to the pages that we've designed on the style sheets, and you're set to go. So, excuse me. The first thing we can do is actually, before we get started, I want to make sure that since I'm working on Lesson 7, that you go to site, go to manage sites, and you should already have a site created. Here's the one that I created for last spring. It works for me for every semester, and double click on it. And I want to make sure that the local site folder is now switched to Lesson 7. Okay, which is something that I already did this morning, but that's something that you need to do to make sure that you have the correct root folder for this particular lesson. That's Lesson 7. We click OK. And then what we're going to do is under Advanced Settings, I hope my computer isn't slowing down at all. I want to make sure that I have the image folder that's contained in that Lesson 7 root folder. So I click here, and it is a little bit sluggish here. It's images, but you want to make sure it's images inside the Lesson 7 folder, not in the Lesson 6 folder. And when we complete Lesson 7, we will publish it. So next week, I will take you step by step through the process of publishing. And I asked everybody on Tuesday to be sure to get an infinityfree.net account, because that's as far as I know, that's probably one of the best free sites that we can use, hosting sites that we can use. So you don't have to pay anything, and it will give you the experience of publishing your websites. Anyway, so you'll notice at the top, these are the media queries that are set. If you want to turn them off at any time, you just click this little button here and they go away. I like having them up at all times. The media queries that are currently in place are the bootstrap. We're going to create our own media query for green styles. So when we use this little tab here and we reduce the page size all the way down to a smartphone, that it fits and it's optimized properly for a smartphone. Okay, so we're going to optimize it for a small screen, which would be for a tablet, and we're going to also leave it at this current format for a large screen. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. You can make your website media ready. So for example, when we bring this down to a small screen size, remember the page loads and from top to the right and then down to the bottom. And when it gets down to a small screen, it's just shrinking it down right now. And you'll notice that the order is the same, that we have our left aside I'm looking at the main content here, the main row, our article and the right aside. And then when we go down to even a smaller screen, for a smartphone, that the aside appears first. And I would rather have my main content, the article, appear first, and then the aside afterwards. So there's a couple of ways that we can do this. There is the less desirable way, which means that I'm going to go ahead and let's move my face over here. I'm using the dome here to select the left aside. And what I can do here is I can hit the little plus sign, okay, here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a class, and it's going to be dot hidden hyphen small. Okay, hit the return key a couple of times, and I'm set to go. Now watch what happens when I make it small. It just disappears. So, but then notice here, you have this gap that needs to be filled. And so it's really kind of inelegant. It doesn't work really well at all. And also when we go down to even a smaller screen, we go back down to the size that would be used for a smartphone, it pops back up. So this really doesn't work for us. So we're going to do something a little bit more complicated, and I hope that this goes smoothly for me. I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to get rid of this one. So we're back to where we were. Okie doke. So the first thing that we need to do, and this is where the DOM comes in handy because it shows the order that the page is going to load. And what we can do is I can close the aside here or in the main row. And if you can see, let me try to move this up just a little bit here. Okay, this shows the order. Okay, here's the left aside, here's the main article in the main row, and then here's the right aside. Well, what I can do is I can take the article and I can move it up. Okay, so it actually goes in right here. If I look, I want it to go, I gotta be careful here. I want it to go, I don't want it to go above the header. What am I doing here? I want it to go, let me let go of this and I'm gonna undo this. There you go. See, I screwed up. So I'm back to where I was. There we go. So let's go ahead and close this up, close the aside, and I want to move it up. I don't want the header changed. I don't want any of that. I want to take the article, or let's go ahead instead, I'll just take the aside and drag it down so that it's beneath the article. Okay. Now you'll see that this does read first. Our main article reads first. But what we need to do is we need to fix a few things here to make sure that everything is back to the right order, because when we get it ready for smaller screens, it will adjust accordingly and it will look much more presentable for each screen size. So what we need to do next is I need to pull this over. Okay, so I'm going to click here and I'm going to put column dot column. Actually, no, hold on here. I want, dot column small. Okay. I want it to be, pull 6 units. Remember, we have a total of 12. Remember that we changed the sizes. These are 3 units, and the main article is 6. So I want it to pull over. Okay. 6 units. Oh, I forgot to put pull. There we go. That would make a big sense. Small pull. Pull 6. There we go. Now I can hit. There we go. Now it pushes it over. But now we're stuck with them overlapping one another. So now what I need to do is I need to select the main article, and I needed to push it over 3 units. So I'm going to leave it. I'll go ahead and I'll add the new unit here. I'm going to put dot column small. Well, that's a hyphen small, SM. And then I want to put a hyphen again, and then I want to put it now push. So push pushes it over, and pull pulls it back. How they came up with those terms, I don't know. So push. And I need to put 3. Now I hit the return key twice, and that pushes it back over. So now it's in the correct order. But we still haven't done anything yet for making it work for smaller screens. Okay. So it's still, we're getting close, but it's not quite there yet. Okay. But notice that when it goes down to a screen size that's optimized for a smartphone, the main article does read first. So we are a little bit closer than we were before. So now we're going to optimize it for both a large screen, a tablet, and a small phone. So we're a smartphone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to select. I'll start with the. Hold on here. I'm closing some of these things so I can select the right. I don't want the right side. I want the left side selected. And I'm going to change each of these. Instead of for a small screen, I will make it for a medium screen. So instead of small, I'm going to change each of these, and you have to be careful here. So that's why I'm saying I'm hopeful that this goes kind of smoothly. So for a medium screen, it's MD. Okay, and then the same goes here. I'm going to go ahead and change this from small to medium. And then we're going to add another one again for small, MD. Now I can hit the return key twice. And now I'm going to go ahead and I need to select the main article. And I'm going to do the same for the right side as well. So I'm changing these now for getting it prepared. So that will be, whoops, no, didn't want to do that. Let's go back. There we go. Got to be careful what you delete. So this is medium MD. And then I come back over here, and we still have push 3 units. MD for medium. MD. I can hit the return key twice. All right, let's go back again. I don't want all of that space in there. I don't know why it's doing that. I'll have to clean that up later. Let's go back over here. And I'm going to do the same here for sidebar 2. Now, instead of small, I'm going to change that to medium. We haven't made any real changes to the right side just yet. So MD for medium, MD, and hit the return key, and I'm good to go. Okie doke. So we're partway there. But now what we're going to do is we're going to add some other elements here to make it work for, again, smaller screens. So now what I want to do for the article is I'm going to, I already did the small. Oh, I know what we're going to do. We're going to do it for small now. So let me make sure that I select not the aside, but close that up. I got to select, these keep opening up. I don't know why. Let's close that up. I'm going to close all these other guys up too. I don't need to see all that. There we go. Let's go back. And close that up. Close that up. I'm just trying to clean this up real quick here, so I can condense it a little bit. Now let's go back down here. Open that back up, and now I'm set. Oh, it's a little bit tidier, I think. So what I need to do now is I'm going to select the main article. Okay, and we're going to add some more now. So what I want to do now is we've set it up for a medium-sized screen and a large screen. And now we're going to set it up appropriately for a small screen. All three columns should work. So I'm going to go ahead and hit a new one here, and it'll probably drop down, right? So now what I want to do is dot column. Now, wait. This should have been changed up here to medium. And it's not changed. So let me go back. That should be medium. Got to double check all of this stuff to make sure that it works. There we go. Okay, so let's do this again. So I have to double check to make sure what I'm doing. So now I want dot column hyphen small. Okay, hyphen. And now what we want it for a small screen, we want it to be 8 units. Okay, 8 units. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add one more element here. And remember, they all have to add up to 12 units. So we're going to wind up changing this to 4 units for a small screen. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and click here and add a new one. And I'm going to do again, I'm going to hit for dot column small, because I changed the top ones to medium. And now I want this to push 4 units. Okay, hit the return key. Okie doke. So now what I need to do is I need to start changing the one for the aside. So let me come back over here and let's change the left aside. And we're going to do the same thing. So for a small screen, what this is going to be is 4 units now instead of 3, because we changed this one to 8. And then this one, the right aside over here, will also be 8, and it will drop down. And on a tablet, it will look much nicer. So I'll go ahead and I'll click here so that we can add dot. Now this should be, see, that one should be medium. MD. There we go. Let me try this one too, make sure that I change that one. Yeah, that one changed. So why didn't the other one? Okay. So let's go ahead and add this again for the small. So I want dot column hyphen small. We want it to be 4 units. Okay. And now we're going to add another one. And this is going to be dot column hyphen, whoops, hyphen small. We want it to pull. Remember, we changed this now to 8 units, so we need it to be pull 8 units. There we go. So let's see how this works. I don't know that this is going to be fully functional just yet. And it isn't just functional just yet. So you can see that this, what happens now is that the right aside jumps to a full 8 units. So we need to fix that as well. Okay, so that will be the next thing that we do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the DOM, and I got to check my notes real quick here. And for the right aside, okay, so I'll go ahead and we'll select that. Let's go ahead and close that. I want the right aside, or the sidebar 2. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add here. So we have medium. So I'm going to go ahead and add this one. And this is going to be for dot column hyphen small. We want it to be 8 units. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the return key. I'm going to add another one. And I want this one to be dot column because it will jump all the way over to the left. I want it to push it over 4 units. So I want dot column small push hyphen 4 units. Hit the return key. Now that jumps way over. Now let's go ahead and if I pull this out, and we still have one more thing to fix. So if I really make this large, okay, there's one more thing that we need to do for medium. We need to add one thing here. So let's go ahead and pull this over. And I'm going to go ahead and add that. Now what we want to do for medium is we want dot column medium MD. We want it to, let's see, hyphen, I think we want it to be push 0. Push, whoops, I didn't spell it right. Push hyphen 0. Now hit the return key, and that should put it back into position. So there we go. So we have some, little nudging and shenanigans that we had to deal with. And now when we resize this, this should work really nicely. And it is working really nicely. Notice that, let me go ahead and deselect some of these here so you can see what's going on. And let's just look at this in live view. So without too much muss or fuss, we got this to work. I have some extra spaces in here in code view that I need to get rid of. But you can see that for a medium size screen, we have the 3-column format, which works really well. If we shrink it down to a small screen for a tablet, it jumps down to a 2-column, and it took that right aside, that sidebar 2, and it pushed it down. We made it 8 units. And if I did not push 8 or push 4 units, it would be over flush left. So that's pushing it over to the right there. And then if we bring it all the way down for a small phone, smartphone, you can see that they read in the right order now. I have my main order article first. I have the left aside, and I have my right aside sidebar 2. So this is the first step in optimizing our screen for the for multiple screen sizes. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go back to, because I goofed some stuff here. I'm going to come back under here, and for somehow I added some paragraph breaks that I don't need here. I don't need this paragraph break. So I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to get rid of these so that it closes everything up. I don't know how I added those, but I did. That's better. And the same thing goes for the main article here. So I'm just going inside the code here. It's a little bit easier where it says insert. Let's see, let's click it here. There we go. And I have 2 paragraph breaks that I added by mistake. So I'm just getting rid of those to tighten it all up. And again, let's test it again and make sure that it all works. There we go for a tablet, and then for a small device, your smartphone. But what we want to do now is we need to adjust some of our style sheet and make a media query for a really, really small phone. If we get it all the way down to like maybe 426 or so pixels, let me click in here, you can see. Notice that the logo, or the fern here behind our logo, is a little bit too large. Also notice that green awareness and action now drops to 2 lines, and we still want it on 1 line. So we need to make adjustments accordingly so that we can make it all fit quite nicely for the small size. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this, let's see, 426. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make sure that I have my CSS designer selected. So I'm going to pull this over a tad so I can see everything. There we go. And under green styles, if we look at Bootstrap, you can see that there are all these different media queries that it has already. What we're going to do is we're going to create a custom media query for green styles. So we need to select the green styles.css that we created. And under media, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a brand new media query. Okay. And I want it to be, for screen. Okay, so that will be the new one. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And actually, that is not right. I'm going to go ahead and change that again. Let me go ahead and remove that. I'm going to move it because I want it to be, let me do this. Let's go ahead here. And I'm going to go ahead, instead of adding the new media query from here, I'm going to add it from up here. Okay, notice the little arrow here at the 426, the plus sign. I'm going to go ahead and add it here. So I have maximum width 426 pixels. And I don't need to create a new CSS file. I want it to be inside green styles. Okay, click here, and there we go. So now we have one with a maximum of 220 or 426 pixels that we can now go back in and we can add our own selectors inside here. So we need to make sure that this is selected instead of just green styles where we've already added a bunch, and we're going to modify some and create some custom media queries here. Okay, so we've done that. Let's go ahead and add one for the header dot for the paragraph tag. So I'm going to select the media query here so that when we add a new selector, it adds it for that. And I'm going to make it header.row paragraph. So I'm going to go ahead here. So we're just going to affect the paragraph in here just right now. I want it to be header.row. I got to make sure I'm typing this right. Header.row space paragraph, P for paragraph. And I'm going to hit the return key twice. Okay. So we've got that set. And now what I want to do is I need to add some properties for that. The letter spacing, we're going to change it a little bit to 0.1 em. So for type, because to tighten it up a little bit. So we have, let's go back up here. So it remains on one line. So I got to find these guys. I can never find them. Yeah, letter spacing right here. I want it to be in ems. And see how that tightens it everything up? So I know that it's working properly. That's a good sign. But I want it to be 0.1 M's. So I still want it to be stretched out a little bit, but not as much as it was. So 0.1 M's. And that stretches it out a little bit. Notice on a small screen now, it doesn't, it fits quite nicely. And watch what happens when I stretch it out again. See, now it stretches out and you really don't see much of a difference. It works pretty nicely. You know, this is really kind of the nuts and bolts of a lot of this stuff to try to get it to work properly. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to copy some styles that we created for, we're going to go back to green styles. And we want to copy the green styles for header.row. So I'm going to come back over here and I have header.row. Where's header.row? Well, let me just go ahead and look in here. I want header.row. There we go. So I click here. And now what I want to do, because remember this for the header.row, we have a lot of the background properties that have been set. Well, we're going to change that so we can change the size of the fern here. So let's go back here. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and I want to copy layout styles. I want to copy the background styles. That's all I need to select. Okay, so that's right click and I copy. Now we go back to maximum width, our media query here, and we're going to create our own header.row. Header.row. And now what I can do is I can right click again and I want to paste styles. So we've taken the other styles that we created and we've put them in here. We want to leave. What we can do here is we can get rid of most of them because we've duplicated a bunch. So we can get rid of the background color. We don't need that. Notice it doesn't change. That's a good thing. If it did change, I would undo it. Where we have the background image for ping, we do want that, but notice that we have the background position and the size, the auto, it's auto 81%. Well, we're going to change that. It doesn't need to be 81%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the green styles CSS. And we need to look at the background properties. So let me push this up a little bit. So I'm going to scroll down to header.row. And let's see where we have it. I got to make sure that I have the right sizes so that it works properly here. So I've added that header.row and I got rid of a whole bunch of these. And let's find it. Let's see what size they want. They want 75% auto. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have, here we go. So here it is 81% because we copied that. We want that to be 75%. See how it shrunk it just a little bit to make it look a little bit nicer. So it's all these fine tuning and tweaks that we need to do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to complete and we're going to change the size of our heading in the article and our subhead a little bit, and we'll be good to go. We'll have completed lesson 7. And what I will do next week is show you, once you complete lesson 7, how to publish it. And then you will, like you've done with your Wix website, you will just simply email me the link. And you'll, if it works, you get full credit for it. And we're set to go. So now what we need to do is in header.row. So let me come back here again. I need to go back to source code again. And let's scroll down here. So I'm still going to use header.row because we only need a couple of them. What we're going to do is we're going to change the padding and the font size a little bit. So if I come back over here, let's go back under the layout properties. And I need to change the padding. Padding, we're going to use the shorthand method, and it's going to be 10 pixels, top and bottom, 10 pixels. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put 0 pixels left and right, 0 pixels. Hit the tab key, and that should fix that a little bit. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change the font size to 90%. Doesn't need to be as large. So let's go to fonts. We're going to use the font size. Everything should change just a little bit. So let's go back here and change it to 90%. Make sure that I'm doing this right. There we go. So it shrunk the size just a little bit. And now we need to change it for the header too. So we're going to change main.row article H1 for the insert main heading here. And then we're going to change its properties a little bit so it fits a little bit better. So we're just making some minor changes here. So let's go ahead and hit another, create another one here. And I'm going to make it main.row. And I want it to be space article, H1. Okay. So now what we can do with that is I want the padding top to be, so let's go down here to properties for the layout. And we're going to scroll down to padding. And I want the top to be 15 pixels. 15. I want the font size to be 185%. So there's going to be in percentages. I need it to be 180%, 85%, 185. Okay. And is that changing? See, I might not have it right. Main.row. It's not changing. See, I have it named incorrectly. So this should be maybe, oh, did I misspell it? Main.row article H1. So let's make sure that this is right. Well, let me go ahead and delete this and let's try this again. Make sure that I have the maximum width here. Let's go ahead and add it. So as we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've done this right. So I want main.row, and I want space article. I could have made a typo, I'm not sure. And I want H1 and hit the return key twice. And it should be highlighting it in blue, and it's not. So that's the main article, main.row. So why isn't that working? So everything has worked pretty well up to this point. So let me try it again. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the padding. Well, let's work with the font size first. That's the main one. So let's click on that and let's look at font size. And it's going to be in percentages. So I'll switch to percentages. and see how it's not affecting it. So I've done something wrong here. There's something that's a bit wonky. So I'm going to pause the recording for a second and try to troubleshoot, see what I've done wrong. So let's go ahead and pause this. Be patient. Yeah, it's important to be patient and work in progress, because I had this just a little bit bigger. Now let's go back to the, because it wasn't working at 4. Let's change it again and make sure that it's 426. And let's select this again. And now notice how it's highlighting in blue. So that works really nicely. So let's go back and let's change the font size. We're going to go to percentages. It disappears. That's what I want to see. We're going to go back to 185% now. 185. Hit the tab key. And remember that that's one of the main things. And then I want under padding, see how tight it is to the top. I want the padding to be 15, at least 15 pixels, maybe a little bit more. There we go. That pushes it down a tad. I think the 185% is a little too small. We can always come back and tweak that. And now we need to adjust the H2 tag, or H2 tag, and make it a little bit more compatible with a small phone screen size. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new selector for it. And it's going to be the same thing. It will be dot row or dot main. Sorry, no dot. Main dot row article, because that's where it's affecting. I want it to be the H2 tag. There we go. And it's highlighting, good sign. So now what we want to do is we're going to make the font size 150%. And again, how am I choosing these sizes? Because the book is telling me, but that's something that you can play with. Let's go back here to percentages. That should disappear, and it did. That's good. And I'll make it 150%, 150. And it's a little bit smaller. We want the line height to be 1.1 ems. So let's go ahead and change that. So that again has to do with the type. So we're going to change the line height. Where are we here? Line height, right below line size. So we want it to be in ems. Again, proportionate. We want it to be, notice how that tightens everything up. We want it to open it up a little bit. So we want it to be 1.1 ems, 1.1 ems. And that will open it up just a little bit. As I said, I would like a little bit larger typeface for the H1 tag. So instead of 185, let me push that up just a little bit. I would like it to be, maybe even 225 for our heading, and that would make more sense to me. So that is it for lesson 7. It's a big, this is a big marker in our lessons. By doing this, we have thoroughly completed our template and styling it, building it from the ground up. So now what we can do is, again, in the future lessons, is we're going to work with templates. I know that I'm said that this is a template, and it is, but there are specific file names that you can use in Dreamweaver to create a template, and using the page that we just developed, and we can build all future pages on that. And the advantage to doing that in lesson 8 will be that if you decide in a large screen, for example, that you need to add another link to another page, or you need to remove one, or you need to rename one, that you just change it in the template and it will automatically update all of the pages that have been created, the child pages from that template. For your personal website, at the end of the semester, you will have the option of using templates or not. But you will be basing your web page on this. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure that everything is saved. I'm going to go ahead and file, save all. So I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to name it my working file. So my layout working file. HTML, and it will be saved in there. So I leave the original one intact, and this will be in the new one here. Okay. So there you have it. We have done lots of work here with some missteps, but by and large, everything right now is working really nicely. Make sure, notice that I'm noticing here that I didn't do everything correctly. Notice that we've made modifications to the Bootstrap CSS. We have made modifications to our green style CSS. So I have to remember to come up here and go to File, Save All, and make sure that they are updated as well. Okay. So are there any questions before we leave today? I've been receiving some of your websites, your Wix websites, and I have graded some, and there's some that still need to be graded. So you should be receiving grades for those soon. So far, I've been very pleased with what I've seen. Been very impressed. You've taken it seriously and done a good job, and some of them are ready for the show. I would be very, if I were you, I would be wouldn't think twice about showing it to a prospective client, or if you were doing a job search or something and they want to know, well, let's see what you have. Well, here's my website. Take a look at that. Is a way of introducing yourself. They look really good. So that's all we have for today. I'm going to go ahead, and we're running up against the 11 o'clock hour. So I'm going to say goodbye. Next week, as I said, we're going to take this lesson and I'm going to show you step by step. That's what we'll do Tuesday, how to publish it. And then on Thursday, before we start lesson 8, I'm going to show you how to use MobiRise. So now that you've finished Wix, how to download a free version of MobiRise and how to begin your MobiRise website. Okay. So I hope this hasn't been too confusing. Be careful. It's easy to make little mistakes, as I have, and they can easily turn into big mistakes. And when you do see a mistake, stop, troubleshoot, find and resolve the issue, and then move forward. Okie doke. So that's it. I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the recording, and you guys are free to go.